So I take my shows pretty seriously, and there's nothing that hits worse than losing a loved character. Now, the One Chicago franchise deaths have left us heartbroken, and for that, we'll be taking a trip down memory lane. Now obviously, they've got a history of axing characters. As you already know, the franchise has 3 shows, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, and Chicago Fire, revolving around the lives of firefighters, police officers, and doctors. And you best believe, they kill off characters in the most unexpected ways, leaving fans sobbing on the floor as they try to pick up the pieces of their broken hearts. And all of these are in NBC's most viewed and top ranking lists. Talk about building an empire on our dead feelings. The shows have been around for a long time, almost 20 plus seasons, which means that they've got a large fan following and also the fact that actors have moved on over the years. And what best way to milk it if not to kill them in the most shocking ways? This brings us to our first tragedy. Chief Evan Hawkins. In Chicago Fire Season 11, Episode 3, the scene starts with a movie theater catching fire, which quickly turns into a major blaze. This had the fans hanging at the edge of their seats. The show had dropped a hint in the trailer that someone might lose their life, and firefighting ain't no child's play. As the 51 fighters are called to figure out the casualties and save people still stuck inside, the chief also joins them to help. As the chaos starts to lessen, we see that all members have made it out safely, and there's a legit sign of relief. But not so fast, mister. Hawkins sees an old man staggering out of the theater, and in an attempt to provide a helping hand, he quickly goes to the man's aid. That's when, in a shocking turn of events, the building collapses on the two. Even though the old man survives, that's the last we see of the chief, a good man, killed in such a brutal way. It's no surprise that the fans were horrified and broken-hearted at the scene, especially as they had to watch Violet beg the chief to save him. But there was nothing that could be done at that point. Not to mention, the pairing of Violet McCamey and Evan Hawkins had come as a surprise for fans, but they fell head over heels for the couple. The two became known as Hawkami. And I have to say, all of us fans were super excited to see their romance unravel, but it seems that the creators had different plans. This isn't the only death that left fans feeling this way. Alvin Olinsky. This one from Chicago PD still makes us teary-eyed. The guy was innocent but got imprisoned, only to meet a gruesome death in prison. Like, that's no way to kill off a character. It all happened in Season 9. I hope you guys remember he was stabbed multiple times. Us fans still feel the pain. What made his loss even sadder was the fact that he died trying to protect his friend. Imagine that. Our friends can only post horrible pictures of us and laugh. But this guy was something else, and what hurt the most was that there were no warnings. It was a senseless crime. We got gobsmacked. Speaking of which, the next loss didn't make it any easier. Anna Avalos. I gotta say, I'm always rooting for the underdog, and Anna deserved a much better fate than she was handed. I get that the woman didn't exactly make the best choices, but look at how limited things were for her. All she wanted to do was keep her son safe and just get by. Apparently, that was too much to ask for. Anna's panic after killing crime lord Javier Escano is what got her killed. She tried to flee, and Voight did his best to calm her down after catching up. We'd see she wasn't in the right state of mind, and the woman shot him. What happened next just crippled me. Upton shot her dead. While fans got that it was necessary because Anna could have killed Hank, it was an incredibly sad moment, and the fact that it was Season 9's finale didn't help. But another death just broke me completely. Nadia Dakatis. This one wreaked havoc on our senses. The poor woman had a run-in with the escaped serial killer, Gregory Yates, and you guys know where this one is headed. Not only was she murdered, she was tortured before it happened, and then her body was left to be found. What gets me is how far she had come, like her life was changing for the better. She was studying, all set to become an officer. This was probably the most heartbreaking death on any TV show. I won't be moving on from this anytime soon, but it's time to talk about yet another loss that we faced together. Ava Becker. Now this one was a complete disaster on Chicago Med. She was a brilliant surgeon who lost her mind because the man of her dreams didn't feel the same way. Like, make it make sense! It all started going downhill when she killed Connor's father, and when she found out the truth that confronted her, she took her own life. It was just so sad to watch. The character was brilliant, and I think the writers should have given her more respect. But we gotta say, that's not the way any of the deaths in the Chicago franchise gets done. Let's take a look at the ones we lost in fire. Andy Darden. The show started with someone dying, and although the fans did not get the chance to know him, the first season seems to center around the 51 team members, mainly Matt Casey and Kelly Severide. The two characters who were very close to Andy, and his death caused a falling out between them. But his death proves to be the key to the team becoming a brotherhood as they deal with the loss. We've always loved how the franchise allows the shows to intermingle, and the death of our next character was used as a way of introducing the other shows to the fans. Hallie Thomas. She finds out that the clinic she works for is corrupt, and this leads to her being murdered in Season 1, Episode 22. This gave the franchise a chance to introduce an intelligence unit that became responsible for uncovering Hallie's death, and thus gave us rise to a spin-off with Chicago PD. While this was a silver lining, her death was a major loss, and fans have always considered it unjust. It has to be mentioned that the franchise did highlight issues regarding mental health. Rebecca Jones was introduced in Season 2 and died by committing suicide. It brought light to the hardships faced by first responders and the toll they can take on them. Apart from this, it also highlighted the workplace issues that come with being a woman in a man's world. The fans were upset by the way she was treated, and one of them also said that it was one of the most unnecessary deaths. But there was one death that left fans in the worst state of affairs. Brian Onus Savanikek. Of all the main characters that died in the seasons, the most tragic by far was this one. This guy was loved, and the franchise did a bad number with this one. I mean, he died due to wounds from a mattress factory fire. It was extremely disturbing for the fans, and was probably the most gut-wrenching moment for the audience. That's all we got on the jaw-dropping deaths in the Chicago franchise. See you next time.